Hello and welcome back to the Wizards Arena, my fellow Planeswalkers. Today we're doing Tech Your Deck, Season 2, Episode 5, Green, Commons, and Uncommons. Let's see what we have up first. Our first card is Back to Nature. For a colorless and a green, you can destroy all enchantments, and it's an instant. Only going to cost you about a quarter, and it's running about 0% of the decks. This is a really handy card if lots of people are playing enchantments in your environment. In my environment I play in, usually it's more artifacts than enchantments, so this card is not as useful, but depending on your local meta, could be a really good card. I really like its cost, and its instant speed. Next up, we have Ram Through. This one is from Ikoria. It's relatively new on the scene. For a colorless and a green, it's an instant. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. So it's not even a fight card. It just straight up does the damage. So for 2 mana instant speed, that's really good. And then, if your creature has trample, the excess damage is dealt to that creature's controller. Well, I mean, in my trample deck, my Hydra deck, this is running every green deck I have that needs creature removal. This is just so good. I love this card. I'm surprised it's only 2% of decks. It's so good. And it's 21 cents, which is a little high for a common, but it's solid. Next up, we have computer problem. Relic Crush. I really like Relic Crush too. So it's 4 and a green. Again, we are in the instant section. Destroy target artifact or enchantment and up to one other artifact or enchantment. So this lets you blow up one artifact and an enchantment, 2 enchantments, 2 artifacts, 1 enchantment. Really versatile. Play at the end of your opponent's turn before you untap. Maximize the value of it. Really good. Not even 10 cents. Hardly any deck running. Next up, we have Unravel the Aether. Big fan of this card. This card, for colors in a green, instant again. You choose an artifact or enchantment, they shuffle it back into their deck. So if you're looking at an indestructible artifact or enchantment like gods and stuff like that, this gets rid of them. So useful. This was played a lot more when you took commanders, but now that you can't, it's come down a little bit in usage. It's 30 cents for an uncommon, and it's 0% of decks. I would play this over Naturalize. It just seems to have upside. Next up, we have the following. Bramble Crush. Oh, baby. Got a good card here. 2 and 2 green. Sorcery. Destroy target non-creature permanent. This one came out before Planeswalkers did, but with the phrasing on it, hits Planeswalkers. So for 4 mana, in green, you can blow up anything. Pretty cool. Being able to get rid of a walker, a powerful artifact, a land that's really strong, an enchantment, like, it's just super useful. Next. And as you see here, again, hardly anybody running it. Next up, Migration Path. I love this card. I really do. 3 and a green for a sorcery. Search for 2 basic land cards, put them on the battlefield tab, then shuffle your library. Just like explosive vegetation. That's exactly what this says here. The same thing, except has Cycle in 2. So if you draw this late game and you don't want your lands out of your deck, or you need an answer to a threat on the board, discard it and draw another card. Like, what more do you want? 75 cents. It's 8%. People realize how good this card is. Okay, next. We got Reign of Thorns. Okay, Reign of Thorns. 4 and 2 green for sorcery. Doesn't sound that great, but you can choose one or more. Destroy an artifact, an enchantment, or land. So for 6 mana, you can blow up 3 things. Unlike Decimate, you don't have to blow up all 3 things. You can choose to just do a land and an artifact, whatever. And if you want to be fair, you can blow up like opponent A's artifact, opponent B's enchantment, and opponent C land to maximize his value and not like totally bury one opponent. Or if one opponent's the arch enemy, you can just bury him straight up. I like this card a lot. I'm surprised it's only 7 cents and 0% run it. Next we have Sky Shroud Claim. 3 and a green for sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 forest cards, put them onto the battlefield, and then shuffle. It is $1.68 and in 15% of decks. This is probably the highest percentage today. But everybody should know this card exists. It's come down a lot in price since they reprinted it as a common in Battle Bond. These get the Tri-lands from Ikoria. These get Shocklands. These get the new non-basic lands that count as like forests and plains from Kalimdor, the Snowlands. Like these, this is really good. You can go get 2 forest cards. Especially if your commander costs like 5 or 6 mana. This is a great card to run along with Cultivate and Rampant Growth. I usually run 10 ramps, so this is one of the ones I usually jam in my green deck. Moving on to our next card. Next up, we have Vastwood Surge. This is like Explosive Vegetation. Again, 3 and a green. Says initially the same bit here. Search your library for the 2 basic land cards and put them on the battlefield tapped. The thing that makes this different is for 4 mana more than if it was kicked, you put 2 +1/+1 counters on everything you control. Well, that just makes this great. Early game, like turn 4 or 5, you get 2 lands. Turn 8 or later, you just buff your whole team and make them huge. And some creatures having an additional 1 or 2 +1/+1 counters on them is ridiculously good. I love this card a lot. So I've shown you 2 replacements now for Explosive Vegetation. So that card should be pulled off almost all decks it's in. Because there's 2 strictly better upgrades. This one will set you back 16 cents. And it's in 3% of decks. Next up, we have Garruk's Uprising. For 2 and a green, when Garruk's Uprising enters the battlefield, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw a card. All your creatures have trample, so no need to run Primal Rage from Stronghold. Whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield, draw a card. This is a really good, strong uncommon from M21. It just keeps cycling you into more and more threats. If you're a big beastie deck, this is great. You see that reflected in the price of $2.24. It's a little on the expensive side, but it's an engine, and it's in 10% of green decks. I mean, if you have a green token deck, this ain't for you, but you can see how it's appropriate in a dinosaur deck. Roar. Next up, we have Lignify. This is the common version of a more powerful. There's a more powerful rare version, but it's a colorless and a green for a tribal enchantment treefolk aura. You enchant a creature, it becomes a 0/4 treefolk with no abilities. So you can put on like somebody's commander and it just sits there and it's like, ugh. And I guarantee you a lot of people are not going to kill it when it has this thing slapped on it. I was surprised that, not that it's 70 cents, that makes sense, but only 2% of decks are running it. In mono green decks, I would have thought there would be a little higher, but it's tough for green to deal with creatures, so this is one of the ways you have is to alter it. I really like this card a lot. And finally, a special surprise bonus. Avoid Fate. Now, I just wanted to show this to people. Many people won't know about this card's existence. It is 1 green mana. And I'm going to read you the updated Oracle text because this is not current. It has now been updated to be an instant for 1 green. And it counters target instant or an aura spell that targets a permanent you control. So that's pretty cool. For 1 green, you get to counter control magic effects. You get to counter any instant removal that's trying to kill your creatures like Heartless Act, Vraska's Contempt, Hero's Downfall, anything like that. And it's a little higher than I usually talk about. It's $2.50, 0% decks. And I'm not saying run it. I'm just saying it's a cool little card to show you that many of you probably didn't know existed. I was actually surprised the amount of people that are running it. It's pretty sweet. It's a neat little card. Gem out there. That will do it for this week of Season 2. I hope you enjoyed this Tech Your Deck video. My name's been Draymore with the Wizards Arena. Please give us a like, share, and subscribe. You can follow us on the Facebook. You can comment below. Next week will be the finale of this series. We're going to do a large gold episode on Monday. Wednesday is artifacts, and Friday will be lands. And then Season 3 will begin in the middle of February. And it will be creatures. So every episode, it might be a little shorter, but it'll be all common, uncommon creatures. So I look forward to seeing you then, and you all have yourselves a great day.